It's a peasant dish. Are you sure you want to serve this to Eagle? What? I am making ratatouille. Well, how would you prepare it?
Welcome back to In Between Cuisine. I'm Tony Hickman. So the movie Ratatouille just played on TV and it got me thinking about my dad because he loved that movie. He loved to cook, so of course I love that movie too. It makes you definitely want to go hit the kitchen after you watch that movie. Now honestly, I didn't even know what Ratatouille was when that movie came out. And then I saw it and I always wanted to try it. So here we are years later, and then I realized I have never tried to do ratatouille. So I researched on, some recipes on how to do it, and you know what? I learned, I didn't know, it's all vegetables. So, just for fun, just kind of a little bit of an experiment, what happens if we replace all the vegetables and replace it with just meat? I don't know what's gonna happen. The sauce will still remain the same for a vegetable sauce, so it's not completely meat, but let's just see what happens. Let's put 4 different kinds of meat and make ratatouille meat style. Let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is our meats. We're gonna do some ground beef. I was trying to think of all meats that are together that are similar in size and round. Salami, pepperoni, and some beef sausage. First thing we're going to do is cut up our pepperoni. You want to make sure you do this carefully and try to get the same size cuts for every piece. That way it will make for good, even cooking. And we are going to do the same thing for our salami. Try to keep in mind what size you did for the pepperoni and try to make it as close as possible. And the same thing for the beef sausage. Next, we're going to try and do something with this ground beef, but here it is again, my arch nemesis, plastic wrap. I can just never get it right. So our goal here is to try to roll up this ground beef so we can try to make it similar to the same size of our other meats. Once you're done fumbling around with your plastic wrap, put the ground beef inside on the center of the plastic wrap and kind of roll it up as best you can, almost kind of like a sushi roll. Get it all nice and tight together. And we're going to fold this over. Oh, that's right. Make sure you get your ends in correct. You want those ends to be nice and flat so you can use all of it and not kind of taper it off so you get uneven pieces. Firmly press this together with your hands, trying to even that meat out as much as possible inside that plastic wrap. Then you want to grab your ends and roll it on your surface. This will give it a nice tight squeeze and get everything nice and compact inside. Once done, unravel your plastic wrap and see what we got. I have a feeling this is still a little too big. Let's get a piece of salami and try to compare this here. Yep, look, we're way off. So we're going to spread this out even more, make it even longer and thinner. You want to wrap it back up, keep rolling it, get it nice and tight, and there we have a better size. Now, it'll still lose its form when you cut it, but now at least you can slice off the same amount of meat that you did for the sausage, salami, and pepperoni. Want to kind of put these aside, try to make it nice, almost like a little mini burger patty. And then you want to painstakingly do this for the whole thing. So some of these seem a little uneven, so what we're going to try and do here is grab a piece of salami and then pack the meat underneath it. That way you get the same size as that salami. And go ahead and do that for each piece. You know, all this cutting and putting all this meat together needs a little break. And I think that these rats have a couple of dance moves that I think I could actually try. First, let's try that one right there. Back, back, side to side. And I think I could do his friend's dance move too. He's just sitting there waving his hands in the air. Alright. Please don't send all the hate mail saying you can't dance. I know I can't dance. Let's just move on. Now let's work on our sauce. So now we have 3 bell peppers. The cores have already been hollowed out. The best way to do this is, of course, over open flame and roast them that way, but I don't have it, so into the oven I go for 375 degrees for an hour. Next, we want to blanch our tomatoes, so with some boiling water. I have 4 large tomatoes here. You want to gently cut a little plus sign directly onto the backs of those. That way the skin will be easy to peel once they've been blanched. You want to go ahead and add this to your boiling water. These are large tomatoes, so I'm going to go ahead and put them in for about 60 seconds. Now just off camera here, I'll show you, I have an ice bath ready to go. So there you go. So as soon as those 60 seconds are up, you want to transfer your tomatoes directly into that ice bath to stop the cooking process. And go ahead and do that for your other 2 tomatoes or however many tomatoes you decide to use. Once they've cooled down for a second, go ahead and remove that core from your tomato. Go ahead and do that first, because if you peel the skin first, it'll be a little slick and really hard to grip it to get that knife in there to get that out. But you can see the skin comes off nice and easy from your tomatoes once they've been blanched. So go ahead and do that for as many tomatoes as you decided to use. So I said an hour before. I made a mistake. I meant to say 30 minutes. Put your peppers in the oven for 30 minutes. They won't be quite as roasted as if you have it on an open flame, but as long as you got that wrinkly skin on there, that's all you need because it will peel off really easy. Next, we want to add some olive oil to a pan or a pot. Onion, carrots, and give these a quick saute and stir. Next comes our celery. And it's hard to see, but that was 1 jalapeno pepper. Mix thoroughly. Add your tomatoes directly into the pot. And I did it off camera, but I chopped up those peppers with the skins peeled. So add those at this point. Grab your submersion blender, and you'll see all the juices come together and make a great cream sauce. If you don't have an immersion blender, feel free to transfer all this into a regular blender, blend, and then return to the pot. Add about 4 whole garlic cloves, and then use your immersion blender again and blend again. Add about a tablespoon of butter, a little bit of allspice, and mix together. 2 bay leaves. Make sure your bay leaves are totally submerged. And then we're just going to cover this and let it cook and simmer for 1 hour. After an hour, want to give it a stir. Should look nice and creamy. Now we're going to let it cook for an additional half an hour without the lid on. So give it a stir, let it cook some more. When you have about 10 to 15 minutes left, go ahead, add some fresh thyme and some fresh basil leaves. A dash of sugar, just to give it just a little more sweetness, and a pinch of salt. Stir it together and let cook for the additional time. Once done, you should have this great creamy consistency. Looks great in my book. So we're going to ladle some into our cooking pan here. We just want to put enough in to cover the bottom of the pan. And just to stay true to the movie, even though I don't need to do it, I'm going to use a spatula and kind of wave it around. Just one more dish I now have to do. But hey, let's stay true to the movie. Next, we're going to add our meat. I'm going to start with a piece of salami, followed by the sausage, followed by the pepperoni, and then followed by our little mini burger, the ground beef. Go ahead and do that all the way around. And also, to stay true to the movie, we're going to cook it under a piece of parchment paper. We're going to put this in the oven at 375 for about 30 minutes. Moment of truth. Hope it came out good. And, well, okay, so it looks like what happened is all these meats were really fatty. So a lot of the fat, of course, cooked out of the meat and kind of took over that sauce that we made. But on the plus side, the meat does look like it is cooked beautifully. And despite it being covered in fat, I don't know, it actually kind of makes it sound good to me. Does look good, but not to worry, I have more sauce right over there, so I can plate this up using some fresh sauce. So let's see if we can't try and get a good looking plate out of this. So we're going to try, and that was way hotter than I thought it was going to be. Didn't let that cool down enough. Can't really stack it like they did in the movie, because this meat just will not stack like that. But I'm going to try and plate it as best I can with what I got. I know he liked to drizzle that sauce a little bit on top. And then a little around the plate, and I am not good at that at all. The rat did it way better than I can. But nonetheless, there we have an all-meat ratatouille. Oh, can't forget that little fresh thyme right there on top for presentation. And there we have it. Only thing left to do at this point is to give it a try. Pepperoni tasted good. Sausage tastes good. And the ground beef tasted wonderful. Everything tasted great.
So there we have an all-meat ratatouille. I don't even know if you're supposed to even call it ratatouille if you're not using vegetables. I don't know. But so, a lot learned. So, did it come out good? I mean, overall, the meat actually tasted good, especially with that sauce. And it was cooked well, and the flavor was actually pretty good. It is a little heavy. I mean, let's face it, it's all meat. So I wouldn't recommend this as like an actual dish you should make, but you could definitely give it a try. But it also got my little hamster wheel going. Like, it wasn't all that bad, but like, it was a little too meat heavy, even with the sauce. So what if we like infuse some vegetables and some meat? And lesson learned 2, use a thin cut of lean meat, because all the meats we have, or that we use today, as you saw, was pure fat, and all that fat rose to the top. But hey, you live, you learn. I had really a lot of fun making this dish. I love that movie. It was good for me to finally pay homage to that movie. It's one of Pixar's greatest movies in my opinion. So it doesn't get all the love that it should, but I think it is an outstanding movie. This is an outstanding dish. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below if there's anything else you want me to try. Maybe put a crazy spin on, you never know. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm Tony Hickman for In Between Cuisine. I'll see you guys next time.